Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about the Kreg Universal Workbench. I just finished about a month ago putting 2 of them in my shop. So when you're trying to get work done in a small shop like this, you have to be able to work more with less, right? And be comfortable working in cramped spaces and just be creative. So that means choosing multiple use tools and putting everything on wheels and mobile bases. And for years, my table saw is the center of my shop, and the Outfeed table doubled as my accessory, or assembly table, I should say. The main reason for this, though, is lack of space. I'm in a confined area, and I needed that Outfeed table, but I also needed an assembly table. Both were in the central location of my shop. And look, this setup worked okay for a while until it didn't, and it doesn't work when you're knee deep into a project and you need to, go over and make a rip on your table saw, and you realize that your project is on the Outfeed table. And that's when the trouble starts, right? So through the years, I've gone through many different changes. I've done different tables, I've all kinds of things, rollers. Up until recently, I was even using the Paulk Workbench, which is a pretty cool system. He's got a great system, which has been great, but not a total solution for me. Now, once a heavy project is on the Paulk Workbench, my saw becomes useless again for anything less than, a 3-foot rip. So it was the right size, though. I liked the size, but it just didn't work well for me. I needed to be able to split it or maybe roll it around, and I couldn't figure that out. That got me looking at the Kreg Workbench as a solution. Now, the Kreg Universal Workbench is a system of rails and adjustable height legs that basically are available in multiple sizes. I was actually impressed with the number of sizes. So by combining 2 different size legs and 5 different sized rails, you can create a customized workbench with a lower shelf, a tool stand, an Outfeed table, or an assembly stand. I did both. The Kreg Workbench comes in 15 different sizes, and you can do something as small as 14 by 14 inches up to 64 by 64. I did like 30 by 68 or something like that. There's 2 different adjustable height legs. The first one is 31 to 39 inches high. Second one is lower. It's 17 1/4 to 23 1/4 high. So the bench also accepts 3-inch casters with 1/2-inch threads, dual locking swivel mechanisms. Each caster can hold 150-pound capacity. So basically it's a 600-pound capacity table to me. And that appealed to me. I like that. So I went with the 28 by 64 universal bench with standard height legs. I locked my sights on the 28 by 64 and decided that I would build 2 tables, both on casters. This configuration was different for me. I've only had 1 table all these years, but it allowed me a couple of different workbench configurations. 1, I could slide them together. They're the same height, clamp them together, whatever. I got a big assembly table. 2, split them up like they are now, keeping 1 as an Outfeed, 1 as a narrower assembly table. Or 3, I can roll them around as needed, right? I can put one on the other end of the shop. I can tuck one in the back room here. So that worked out great. And adding an inch overhang all the way around, I got like 20, I took it from 28 by 64 to like 30 to 66. And I like the overhang so I could clamp to it. Now my table saw is 35 1/4 inches high, which meant I needed to be able to use adjustable leg kit to achieve my heights. And with 2 layers of 3/4 plywood for my top, and I using those leg levelers, which by the way have a 6-inch adjustment range, I was able to get it an 1/8 inch lower than my table saw. Having both tables basically the same height to me, and being able to make it with sheet stock was desirable. So in the end, I did 2 benches, and they measured, like I said, 35 1/8, which is very acceptable to me. I don't mind that 1/8 dip. So I chose melamine. I chose melamine for my Outfeed table because it matched the color of my side table and my table saw. Melamine is durable, it's impact resistant, it's low maintenance, and it just looks slick. And I really wanted to do 2 tables on melamine, but I chose against it. I don't know, we'll talk about it more. But I added the Kreg track system to the melamine table, 1 long edge and 1 short edge. And the clamp track is what it's called. It's basically this blue anodized aluminum. It's about 2 1/4 inches wide, 3/4, a little less than 3/4 thick. And you can route it into a table, which is a lot of routing, or you can stagger it between layers of 3/4 panels, which is what I did. I basically, there's numerous 1/4-inch bolts that secure the track to a sub base of plywood, AC plywood. And then the clamp track, and then you could put your melamine in between. But that clamp track allows me to use those Automax clamps that Kreg has, which are really sweet. They're awesome adjustable clamps, and I can slide them along the entire length or side of my workbench for like a clamping solution. I also, as an outfeed table, the melamine, it just stuff slides across it effortlessly when cutting sheet stock and stuff like that. As an assembly table, the melamine surface is smooth. Assembly glues are easily wiped off. It's scratch, scuff, and mar resistant to a point. And I installed it with screws from the bottom, so you wouldn't see anything on the top, so it's nice and smooth. Now the tabletop is a total of 1.5 inches thick, and with that sublayer of 3/4 AC plywood, like I said. So for dressing up the edges, I basically used a 1.5 inch by 3/4 poplar wood edge banding, and I used a 1/4 inch round over bit to just smooth the edges, and a hand plane to hit the bottoms and sand it all nice, mitered corners. For my assembly table, which is the other table, I used 2 layers of 3/4 AC plywood, and I chose AC plywood because I wanted the ability to be able to install screws and other fasteners into the face of it if needed, jigs or whatever, hold downs. Melamine would not be a good choice for that. Additionally, I can sand this tabletop, clean it, replace it by removing 10 or 12 countersunk screws that are surface mounted screws. And for the edges, I just did the same thing. I did that, 3/4 by 1.5 banding all the way around, edged over. Put sanding sealer over it to kind of secure it and seal it in a little bit. I will note on the poplar banding along the edges though, it is only glued to the sub plywood only, not the top. And that was hopefully to facilitate removing it later if I needed to. Hopefully I never have to remove it. Both tables have bottom shelves, and the Kreg table allows you to have a second lower shelf with some adjustability. And for both tables, I used 3/4 inch AC plywood with some very narrow, thin, simple poplar edging eased with a hand plane. I coated all the plywood, all the AC plywood got coated with a sanding sealer. And again, just to seal it, I can wipe stuff off. I can seal it again and again and again, who cares? On the assembly bench, I also added an extension box for my Festool CT mini vacuum. The vacuum is now a dedicated sanding vacuum. And I used to have to go across the room and wheel it out and go get my sander and hook it up. I wanted to be more efficient. I wanted this to be right here. And with this extension shelf, it just sticks off the side. The sander is always ready to go. It's plugged into the powered outlet. All I have to do is plug the vacuum in and I can go. I also added on my assembly table 3 Rockler T-tracks, about 4 inches in from the edge and down the middle. Just routed 3/4 inch grooves, put the T-tracks in just slightly sub level of the thing. And that's going to allow me to use inline clamps, the T-lock clamps, the Rockler hold downs, the Kreg clamps, the Automax clamps. I could do anything I want with these T-tracks, which is great. All right, look, so to conclude, the Kreg Universal Bench has a slew of modular options for everybody, really. You can modify this to create a workbench, assembly table, whatever you need to fit your needs. I was able to come up with a solution for my needs. I really like the different options and configurations. I wish I found it sooner. I would have done things with my sander and stuff. It certainly helped me solve my problem of having to use my outfeed table as my assembly table. Now, I have 2 smaller tables, both on casters, that allow me to move and position my tables and use my assembly table without interfering with my table saw outfeed operations. So I'm pretty happy with it. Overall, good product, and hopefully this gives me years of great use. Guys, I'll see you soon. I'm working on a video, 3-part video series on how to build, create an efficient small workshop and some of the frustrations of dealing with a small workshop. It's going to be like 3 videos, and there'll be articles as well on Concord Carpenter. So I'm working on those now, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Please consider supporting this channel. Like the video, leave a comment, but more importantly, subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you.